now I will tell you more about the houses and castles of the north, though not that much is known about most of them. In the north, off the northeastern coast of Westeros, in the Shivering Sea, separated from the mainland by the Bay of Seals, lies the island of Skagos. 3 houses, or clans as some refer to them, populate the island: House Crawl, Magnar, and Stain. Although they are considered a part of the north, they essentially govern themselves and have little to no contact with the outside world. A century ago, the Skagosi unsuccessfully rebelled against the Starks. House Crawl of Deep Down. Deep Down is a fortified cave, not a castle, and the wedges on its coat of arms symbolize stalactites and stalagmites. The wards of House Crawl are Amid the Earth, House Stain of Driftwood Hall, House Magnar of King House. Their name derives from Magnar, an Old Tongue word meaning Lord. House Karstark of Karholt. They are a cadet branch of their overlords, the Starks of Winterfell, and are among their principal bannermen. Their founder was Carlan Stark, who put down a rebel lord and was granted lands for his valor. The castle he built was named Carl's Hold, but that soon became Karholt, and over the centuries the Karholt Starks became Karstarks. Karstarks are big, fierce men, bearded and long-haired, with brown hair and blue-gray eyes, and favor wearing cloaks made of the pelts of seals, bears, and wolves. The wards of House Karstark are the Son of Winter, House Umber of the Last Hearth. House Umber is an ancient house who once ruled as First Man Kings. They are hardy people, tempered by the rough northern climate. After many struggles, the Umbers were reduced from royals to vassals of House Stark, the Kings of Winter. Their lands are in the far north of the Stark territories, just south of the Wall and the lands held by the Night's Watch, and it is a place of wild hills and ancient forests of oak and pine. With the exception of the castles of the Night's Watch, Last Hearth is the northernmost major castle of the Seven Kingdoms, and its proximity to the Wall puts Umbers at risk of wildling raids, and they have often been called upon to help defend the north against wildling raiders. Lord Greatjon Umber's cousin, the daughter of Morse Umber, was carried off in a wildling raid. Although they deny it, Umber lords are rumored to still practice the tradition of the Lord's right to the First Night, which was banned during the reign of King Jaehaerys I Targaryen. Amongst other possibilities, the Night's King is rumored to have been an Umber, House Bolton of the Dreadfort, an ancient and powerful house of First Man descent who once ruled as Red Kings from the Dreadfort. Since the Long Night, the Red Kings were bitter rivals of the Kings of Winter, the Starks of Winterfell. The Boltons achieved some successes against the Starks, with Kings Royce II and Royce IV burning Winterfell. The Boltons are said to have flayed the skins of several Stark lords and hung them in the Dreadfort. According to rumor, some Bolton lords wore the flayed skins of their enemies, including Starks, as cloaks. This practice has given the Boltons a sinister reputation. Boltons had a long history of rebellion against Starks, to the point where they became known as the Bane of the North. The last Red King, Rogar the Huntsman, submitted to Winterfell when the Andal invasion of Westeros was beginning. King Theon Stark, the Hungry Wolf, and the Boltons defeated Argos Sevenstar and his Andals in the Battle of the Weeping Water. Thousands of years ago, the Dreadfort rose in an unsuccessful rebellion with the Grey Starks of the Wolf's Den against the Starks. The Boltons survived the rebellion, although the Grey Starks did not. During the rape of the Free Sisters by the Kings of Winter, which occurred 2,000 years ago, Balthazar Bolton had a pink pavilion made from the flayed skins of 100 sistermen. Approximately 1,000 years ago, the Boltons bent their knees to Winterfell and agreed to abandon their practice of flaying their enemies. Also, 1,000 years ago, Carlan Stark built a castle on land taken from a rebel lord. It is possible this land of House Karstark was taken from the Boltons. For many centuries, centuries, the Boltons have remained loyal to the Starks, although rumors persist that they continue to flay their prisoners in secret and maintain a hidden chamber in the Dreadfort to display the skins of their enemies. When Lord Eddard Stark called the Banners of the North to fight in Robert's rebellion, Lord Roose Bolton took up arms, fighting in the Battle of the Trident. Afterward, he counseled that Lord Robert Baratheon should slash the throat of the legendary Kingsguard knight, Sir Barristan Selmy, but Robert sent for his maesters instead. Dreadfort is a strong fortress with high walls and triangular merlons that look like sharp stone teeth. It has thick stone walls and massive towers. Its great hall is dim and smoky, with rows of torches grasped by skeletal human hands jutting from the walls. Long tables stand before a dais with a high table. The hall has a vaulted ceiling and wooden rafters turned black from smoke. The words of House Bolton are, "Our blades are sharp." House Hornwood of Hornwood. They are among the principal bannermen of Starks of Winterfell. Hornwood and its lands are located between the Manderleys of White Harbor and the Boltons of the Dreadfort, and have been contested between the two in the past. The Hornwoods maintain their independence from both due to their loyalty to the Starks. The words of House Hornwood are, "Righteous in wrath." House Flint of Widow's Watch, a minor castle that extends to the northern peninsula, known as the Bight. They are probably the most powerful branch of House Flint. Their words are, "Ever vigilant." House Woolfield, a lesser house connected to the Manderleys of nearby White Harbor. House Locke of Oldcastle. The Lockes ruled as the first man-kings after the Long Night, but they were eventually reduced to vassals by the Kings of Winter from House Stark. House Manderley of White Harbor. House Manderley were once a powerful noble house of the Reach. Centuries ago, they were driven out of the Reach and were given sanctuary and lands by House Stark in exchange for their pledge of fealty. Starks gave the Wolf's Den and the surrounding lands to the Manderleys, leading to the creation of White Harbor around the Wolf's Den. King John Stark founded the Wolf's Den, a castle at the mouth of the White Knife, after he drove out sea raiders, who were using the harbor as a base for raids inland. For centuries, the castle was held by various Starks and offshoot branches, such as the Grey Starks. Other families who were lords of the Wolf's Den in the past included the Flints, Lockes, Slates, Longs, Holts, and Ashwoods, all tasked by the Winterfell to defend the White Knife. The ancient castle is now used as a prison, as the Manderleys reside at the new castle and receive visitors in the Merman's Court. The Manderleys still keep many traditions from the south, because even though they are descended from the First Man just like their fellow Northmen, they have long ago adopted the faith of the Seven and the culture of the past Andal invaders. They are the richest house in the north through fish, grain, and overseas trade. Lord Wyman Manderley is the head of the house, and he is so fat he can no longer ride a horse and must be carried in a litter, leading to the nickname Lord Too Fat to Sit a Horse. He is nearly 60 years old, with a massive belly and fingers the size of the sausages. Wyman is amiable and has a loud booming laugh. He is mocked by his own people as Lord Lamprey, by his own admission, and because of his physical appearance. Wyman is seen by many as craven and foolish. However, it is a clever front. He is shrewd, calculating, and intelligent. He is also staunchly loyal to House Stark. The proud and pale Newcastle is built atop a hill rising above the city's thick white walls. The broad, stepped castle stair is a white stone street that leads from the Wolf's Den up the hill to the new castle. There is a clear view of both of the city's harbors from the hilltop. The Merman's Court is the great hall of the new castle where the Manderleys hold court. Chambers within the castle are handsomely furnished. The household guard wear cloaks of blue-green wool and carry silver tridents instead of spears. The Manderleys decorate their castle with faded banners, broken shields, and rusted swords from ancient victories, and wooden figures from the prows of ships. There is a secret passage beneath the castle stair that leads from the new castle to the Wolf's Den. White Harbor is the largest settlement north of the Neck, but the smallest among the 5 major cities of Westeros. It is the North's primary trade port as well. Its location on the mouth of the White Knife provides opportunities for trade further north. The city itself is clean and well ordered, with wide straight cobbled streets that make it easy to walk around. The houses are built of whitewashed stone with steeply pitched roofs of dark gray slate. Due to its location, White Harbor has more contact with the south, and there are more knights and followers of the Faith of the Seven in White Harbor than anywhere else in the north. The Lord of the White Harbor, Wyman Manderly, influences all lands and houses east of the mouth of the White Knife, including houses Locke, Woolfield, and Flint of Widow's Watch. Their bannermen include a dozen petty lords and 100 landed knights. House Slate of Blackpool. The Slates ruled as first-man kings after the Long Night, but they eventually submitted to the Kings of Winter and became vassals of House Stark of Winterfell. House Servan of Castle Servan. They are one of the closest bannermen to the Starks, Castle Servan being just a half-day's ride from Winterfell, and are among the most powerful as well. The wards of House Servan are Hound and Reddy. The mountain clans or hill clans are groups of Northmen who dwell in the mountains north of Wolfswood and in the foothills along the shore of the Bay of Ice. Generally considered petty lords, they should not be confused with the mountain clans of the Vale of Farron, who are considered savages. The quarrelsome clans of the rugged northwest are a hardy people who, like other Northmen, claim descent from the first man and worship the old gods. There are roughly 40 mountain clans, large and small, the most prominent of which are the Wolves, the most powerful of clans, then the Hawkleys, the Norries, the Knots, the First Flints, called like that because House Flint of Widow's Watch and House Flint of Flint's Finger are cadet branches of the family, then the Liddles and the Burleys. Although they do not consider themselves truly highborn, the chiefs of these clans are given the treatment of lord by their lieges, the Starks of Winterfell. Given their high latitude and sparse resources, the clans suffer population strain during winter years. The young are sent to the Starks' winter town, and old men often announce that they are going hunting. Some are found the next spring, more are never seen again. The clans have often quarreled with each other, leading the Starks to settle the disputes by force or by calling the chiefs to Winterfell. These feuds are recalled in songs such as Black Pines and Wolves in the Hills. The clan's territory has also been historically raided by wildlings and Ironborn. House Glover of Deepwood Motte. The Glovers ruled as first-man kings after the Long Night, but they were eventually reduced to vassals by the Kings of Winter from House Stark. Deepwood Motte is a wooden motte and bailey castle. The lands of Glovers extend throughout the Wolfswood. Minor Wolfswood houses like Bowls, Branches, Woods, Foresters, and others are their vassals. Due to the location of their stronghold Ironrath on the edge of the Wolfswood, the Foresters control the largest ironwood forest in Westeros, which has allowed them to enrich themselves. They are bitter rivals of House Whitehill. The wards of House Forester are Iron from Ice, House Whitehill of Highpoint. They are loyal vassals of House Bolton. Their seat is the stone castle of Highpoint. They are one of the few houses in the north to practice the Faith of the Seven. The wards of House Whitehill are Everhire, House Mormont of Bear Island. It is an old, proud, and honorable house of the north. House Mormont is one of the few houses to have an ancestral weapon of Valyrian steel, a sword called Longclaw. However, due to Bear Island's lack of valuable resources, the Mormonts are a rather poor house. That's why Mormont Hall is made just of huge logs, surrounded by an earthen palisade. On the gate is a carving of a woman in a bear skin with a child in one arm, suckling at her breast, and the battle axe in the other. Like the other women of Bear Island, the women of House Mormont learn how to defend themselves from Iron Man and wildlings. Island is densely forested with a large Burr population, which earned the island its name. According to legend, in ancient times, Burr Island was ruled by House Woodfoot, who were wiped out when the Ironborn conquered the island. During the Age of Heroes, Roderick Stark allegedly won control of the island in a wrestling match with an Ironborn. Roderick gave Burr Island to the Mormonts, who have been loyal supporters of the Starks ever since. Lord J.R. Mormont arranged a marriage for his son, Jorah, to a girl from House Glover when Jorah was still relatively young. While the marriage lasted 10 years, the couple had no children. Jorah's wife eventually died after not being able to recover from her third childbirth. By the time she died, Lord Jeor has joined the Night's Watch, where he rose quickly through the ranks and was eventually elected Lord Commander. When Lord Eddard Stark called his banners to fight in Robert's rebellion, Jorah joined the rebels and fought in the Battle of the Trident. Jorah fought during the Greyjoy Rebellion as well, and earned fame both in the war and the subsequent tourney at Lannisport, held to celebrate the victory over the Iron Islands. He met Lyness Hightower at the tourney and fell in love with her. After winning the jousting, he crowned Lyness his Queen of Love and Beauty and asked her father, Lord Leighton Hightower, for her hand in marriage, which he granted. However, life on Burr Island differed significantly from life at Old Town, and Jorah spent all of his money to keep her happy. Finally, after trying to sell poachers to a Tiroshi slaver to increase his income, Jorah fled from the north to the Free Cities with his wife upon learning that Lord Eddard Stark of Winterfell was coming to Burr Island to pass on the king's judgment. In the Free Cities, Jorah and Lyness lived in exile in Lys, and Jorah became a sellsword after they ran out of money in half a year. However, while he was away, Lyness became the concubine of a merchant prince, and Jorah was exiled from Lys as well. Jorah's aunt and Jeor's sister, Mage, inherited Burr Island after Jorah fled the Seven Kingdoms. The words of House Mormont are, "Here we stand." House Toart of Torrance Square. Torrance Square is a formidable stone keep. The town surrounding it is protected by stone walls 30 feet high. The words of House Toart are, "Proud and free." House Glenmore of Railwater Crossing. They hold fealty to House Risval of the Rills. The Glenmores have significant ties to House Tyrell and are also on relatively good terms with House Forrester. House Risval of the Rills. It is a proud and large house. They rule over the Rills, a region located west of the Barrowlands. The Risvals, alongside Dustins, are the first to declare for House Bolton when Lord Roose is named Warden of the North, due to the kinship between them. They are among the very few truly loyal vassals House Bolton has. An old story tells that when 79 deserters left the Wall, one of them was the youngest son of Lord Risval, who decided to look for shelter at his father's keep. However, Lord Risval returned his son and his companions to the Night Fort, where they were buried alive in the ice to forever stand the watch they had abandoned. Late in his life, Lord Risval took the Black to end his days watching behind his son. Lord Roderick Risval hoped to advance the status of his house by marrying his daughter Barbary to a House Stark of Winterfell. But Brandon Stark, the heir of Lord Rickard Stark, was instead betrothed to Caitlin Tully. Barbary instead wed Willem Dustin, Lord of Barrowton. After Brandon and Rickard were killed by King Aerys II Targaryen, Lord Eddard Stark wed Caitlin instead of Barbary. Both Lord Dustin and Sir Mark Risval died fighting beside Eddard at the Tower of Joy in the aftermath of Robert's rebellion. House Dustin of Barrowton. The Dustins claim descent from the first king of the First Men and the Barrow Kings of the Barrowlands, which they honor with the inclusion of a rusted crown in their sigil. The first king was the legendary sovereign of the First Men when they first arrived in Westeros, around 12,000 years before Aegon's landing, according to the people of the North. It was under his leadership that the First Man traveled to Westeros from Essos. The first king led his people across the land bridge called the Arm of Dorn, though some legends from the Reach claim that Garth Greenhand was the High King of the First Man who led his people to Westeros. Singers claim the Barrow Kings fought against the Kings of Winter, the Starks of Winterfell, north of the Barrowlands, in the Thousand Years' War, but runes of the First Man indicate that the conflict lasted about 200 years. When the last Barrow King submitted to Winterfell, the Stark King received his daughter in marriage. There are mentions of a curse that was supposedly placed on the Great Barrow that supposedly contains the grave of the first king of the First Man, or a king of the giants, and that this curse is weakening and making corpse-like any living man who dared to equal the first king. Some maesters think the corpse queen of the Night's King may have actually been a daughter of the Barrow King, as they were often connected with graves. Lord Roderick Dustin led 2,000 Northern soldiers known as the Winter Wolves during the Dance of the Dragons in support of Rhaenyra Targaryen. Lord Willem Dustin was one of the 6 companions that fought alongside Eddard Stark at the Tower of Joy. His bones were buried in Dorne. House Dustin controls Barrowton, occasionally called Barrow Town, that is a prominent town in which contains Barrow Hall, the seat of House Dustin. Barrowton is centered around the large hill Great Barrow, on which Barrow Hall was built. The town itself is wooden and has broad, straight streets. Barrow Hall has wooden walls and square towers. There is an old windmill and a grassy courtyard located near the gatehouse. Widen wooden stairs lead up the hill to Barrow Hall's keep. House Stout of Goldgrass. It is a petty noble house who have a modest keep near the eastern gate of Barrowton. It is sworn to House Dustin. House Flint of Flintsfinger. It is suggested that the Night's King was a Flint among the many possibilities. Lord Commander Roderick Flint is regarded as one of the worst commanders of the Night's Watch for trying to make himself king beyond the Wall. One of the darkest legends of the Wall is the rape and murder of brave young Dany Flint in the Night Fort. Flintsfinger is noted for being built over towering cliffs. House Reed of Greywater Watch. They are one of the principal families in the north. Reeds control the vast area of swampland and bog stretching across the narrowest part of the continent of Westeros, the Neck. The Reeds and their vassals are Crannogmen, a distinct offshoot of the First Men, who have adapted to living in the swamps on the Neck after, according to legend, the Neck turned into a swamp when Greenseers used the Hammer of the Waters. Some maesters instead believe the landscape was caused by a natural event, though. Crannogmen are often called the Swamp Dwellers, the Frog Eaters, the Mudmen, and even Bog Devils by the Ironborn. The Neck was originally an independent realm, ruled by the Marsh Kings, until King Rickard Stark of Winterfell defeated the last Marsh King and married his daughter, annexing the Neck to the domain of the Kings of Winter. House Stark was able to preserve northern independence by holding the Neck and the Moat Cailin. Some children of the forest may have fled to the Neck during the Andal invasion. The Neck contains huge flowers, lizard lions, and many snakes. The trees are half drowned and covered in fungus, and beneath the water, quicksand will drown anyone who attempts to walk the waters. The Neck is considered the key to any assault on the north. Howland Reed was one of the 6 companions of Eddard Stark that went with him to the Tower of Joy, and the only one that survived the fight against the 3 members of Aerys II Targaryen's Kingsguard. Eddard said that he would not have survived the battle if it were not for Howland. He is said to have remained in the Neck since the end of Robert's Rebellion. Greywater Watch, the seat of House Reed, is nigh untraceable, as it is built upon a crannog, one of the man-made floating islands of the swamps, and it does not stay in the same place, making it impossible for ravens or enemies to find. There is no maester there, nor any knights or masters-at-arms. Ironborn and Andal warriors, including Freys, have attempted to conquer Greywater, but none have been able to find it. Many of the invaders rode into bogs and sank because of their armor. House Reed has many sworn houses. Through them, House Fen, House Speed, House Grey, House Quag, House Greengood, House Blackmire, and House Boggs. House Stark of Winterfell. It is a principal noble house of the north. In days of old, they ruled as kings of winter, but since Aegon's conquest, they have been wardens of the north and ruled as lords of Winterfell. Their seat, Winterfell, is an ancient castle renowned for its strength. Aside from the Karstarks of Karholt, the Starks of Winterfell may have other distant relatives in the north. White Harbor and Barrowton are considered to be likely options. Some younger Starks have also held vassal holdfasts for the Lords of Winterfell. The Stark look consists of a long face, a lean build, dark brown hair, and grey eyes. House Stark was founded by Brandon the Builder, a legendary figure who lived during the Age of Heroes. Tales from the Reach claim that Bran the Builder was a descendant of Brandon of the Bloody Blade, who is credited for driving the giants away from the Reach and warring against Children of the Forest, slaying so many of them at Blue Lake, it became known as Red Lake. Brandon of the Bloody Blade was supposedly a son of the mythical Garth Greenhand. According to legend, Brandon built the wall in Winterfell. Some stories say he did this with the help of giants, and that he also sought assistance from the Children of the Forest. Tales from the Stormlands claim Brandon helped Durin build Storm's End when he was a boy. Some stories claim King Ottar of the Hightower commissioned Bran to design the stone Hightower at Old Town, while others state it was Bran's son who was also named Brandon. It is said that Bran the Builder gave the Night's Watch Brandon's gift, a stretch of land 25 leagues wide, but some maesters argue it was another Brandon of House Stark. It has also been suggested that the Night's King has been a Stark. The ancient Starks gradually defeated rival kings, such as the Barrow Kings to the south, and the Red Kings from House Bolton of the Dreadfort. About 400 years before Robert Baratheon's reign, the Valyrian steel greatsword was spellforged in Valyria and acquired by the Starks, who named it Ice. Winterfell is the greatest castle of the north. According to legend, House Stark has held a castle at Winterfell for 8,000 years, since the Dawn Age, though it has been considerably expanded over the centuries. The castle is located alongside the King's Road, as it makes its way from the Wall to the capital at King's Landing, more than 1,000 miles to the south. Castle is located on the hot springs, the furnaces of the world, the same fires that made the 14 Flames or the smoking mountain of Dragonstone. The hot water from those springs circulates through the walls and helps to keep the castle warm during the harsh, long winters. The Winter Town, so called because it lies mostly deserted during summer, has rows of small houses built of log and undressed stone. Its streets are muddy during summer, when 4/5 of the homes are left empty. During winter, even clansmen from the northern mountains come to Wintertown, hiding from cold. During long dark winters, warming by the hearths, small folk tell stories of a dragon whose breath heats water beneath castle. The great main gates have a drawbridge that opens into the market square of the Winter Town. The market square has wooden stalls for produce and goods, and a well at its center. The local alehouse is called Smoking Log. King's Road lies past the castle and town. The inner walls of Winterfell, which were once the only defensive walls, are estimated to be some 2,000 years old. In later years, a defensive moat was dug around them. Then, a second outer wall was raised beyond the moat. The inner walls stand 100 feet high, the outer walls 80. There are guard turrets on the outer wall and more than 30 watch turrets on the crenellated inner walls. North Gate of Winterfell is much taller than the South Gate, and there is a narrow tunnel inside of the inner wall, stretching halfway around the castle, allowing travel from the 3rd floor of the South Gate all the way to the 1st floor of the North Gate, without interruption. Hunter's Gate opens directly onto open fields and the Wolfswood, so people can come and go without having to cross through the Winter Town. Kennels and kitchens are located near it. The first keep is the oldest surviving part of the castle, but is no longer in use. Long abandoned tower, round and squat and decorated with gargoyles. Around it lies a lich yard where the kings of winter would lay their loyal servants. Crypts are also located in the oldest part of the castle. The crypt's ironwood door, which is located in the oldest section of Winterfell, near the first keep, is old and heavy. The cold and dark crypt is accessible by narrow and winding spiral stone steps, which lead to multiple levels. One floor contains a long line of granite pillars, 2 by 2, between which are entombed the dead of House Stark. While all family members can have tombs in the crypts, statues are traditionally only made for kings in the north and lords of Winterfell. The likenesses of these high lords are carved into the stone. Large stone direwolves curl at their feet. According to tradition, iron longswords across each lord's lap keep vengeful spirits within the crypt. The cavernous vault is larger than Winterfell itself, with older Starks buried in deeper and darker levels. The lowest level is said to be partly collapsed. The most recent tombs within the crypts are those of Lord Rickard Stark and his children, Brandon and Lyanna. The tombs further back, empty and unsealed, are saved for the future dead of House Stark. The Broken Tower, also known as the Burned Tower, was once the tallest watchtower in Winterfell. A lightning strike set it afire in the middle of the 2nd century after Aegon's conquest, and the top third of the tower collapsed inward, but no one bothered to rebuild it. It stands behind the old inner ward. The Glass Garden is a greenhouse covered with thick yellow glass. It is heated by the hot springs which turn it into a place of moist warmth. It is used to grow fruits, vegetables, and flowers. A small ancient godswood covering 3 acres is enclosed within the walls. It has stood untouched for 10,000 years. At the center of the grove stands an ancient weirwood with a face carved into it, standing over a pool of black water. Across the godswood from the heart tree, beneath the windows of the guest house, an underground hot spring feeds 3 small pools, with a moss-covered wall looming above them. The godswood is enclosed by walls and is accessed by a main iron gate, or smaller wooden ones. The small sept was built for Lady Catelyn Tully at Southern by her husband, Lord Eddard Stark. The bell tower is connected to the rookery by a bridge. The bridge is covered and runs from the 4th floor of the tower to the 2nd floor of the rookery. The Maester's turret is located below the rookery. The library tower houses the library at Winterfell. A stonework staircase winds about its exterior. The Great Keep is the main part of the castle complex. Its walls are made of granite, and it is connected to the armory by a covered bridge. From a window on that bridge, one can see the entire yard. The Great Hall is used for receiving guests, and the place where the household would dine together, including the lord of the house. The Great Hall is very large. On the outside it is enclosed with grey stone and covered with banners, with white doors made of oak and iron, which opens to the castle yard, whilst the rear exit leads to a dimly lit gallery. Inside it can hold 8 long rows of trestle tables, 4 to each side of the central aisle, and can seat 500 people. There is also a raised platform for noble guests. The words of House Stark are, "Winter is coming," one of only a few house words to be a warning rather than a boast. Thank you for the attention. Give signals to your maesters to send ravens to House Scriva TV by pointing your thumbs up. See ya!